Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Journal, edition 007, week commencing the 30th of March 26. There was a moment this week where I had to stop and think, and it wasn't about business, it wasn't about money, but something far more important we often overlook. I've been around a lot of business owners recently, good operators, hard-working people, building solid businesses, pushing forwards, but I'm starting to notice a pattern. A lot of them are running hard in business while completely neglecting themselves, and then when something goes wrong in their health, it comes as a shock. That's the bit that doesn't make sense to me. It made me stop and reflect on my own week, because at the same time I'm dealing with usual pressures of juggling cash flow, wages, stock, and trying to get everything moving forward. When you're in that environment, it's very easy to drop the thing, don't feel urgent, and health is usually the first one to go. I was listening to a podcast while driving and a question was asked. Would you swap places with Warren Buffett? You had all his money, all his billions, but you wake up tomorrow in your mid-90s, in his body, with his health. It didn't take long to answer. No chance. And the reality is, he'd probably give it all back for another 10 strong, healthy years. That really puts things into perspective. We all say health matters, but most of us act like it doesn't matter. For me, it's something I've become more intentional about. Not perfect, but consistent. Even in the busy week, I stick to the basics. Getting out early before the day starts, whether that's steady run, keeping things in zone 2, or pushing hard with infill work. Some days it's as simple as loading up a rucksack and going for a walk. 4 gym sessions a week, focused on strengths, keeping food clean and simple, and making sure recovery is part of the routine with cold plunge and sauna sessions. Nothing extreme, just consistent actions. What I've noticed is the benefits show up in your mind first. You think clearer, you act better, and you have more patience. And patience is one of the most important things you can have when you're leading. Because the reality of what we do isn't a simple job. There's no set role or checklist. You're thinking about sales, marketing, operations, finance, and people all at once. Often make decisions without having all the information. You're solving problems that don't have obvious answers and trying to move everything forward while keeping everything steady. I felt that this week, not because things weren't working, but because everything was happening at once. At the same time, we're coming to the end of the financial year and the quarter, so I've been stepping back and looking at things properly, reflecting on what's worked, what hasn't, and where we need to go next. One of the biggest positives has been the team. The way they have come together, improved the flow of the vehicles through the yard, and increased consistency in getting parts processed and listed. It's not perfect, but it's moving in the right direction. That only happens when people start pulling together. Alongside that, I've also had to be honest with myself. I've been trying to do too much, too many ideas, too many directions, too much noise. So going into the next quarter, the focus is simple. Do less, but do the things that matter most. Clear the noise, free up the thinking, and make better decisions. Because if you don't set the direction, you drift. It's like setting off from London Heathrow to Sydney. If you're 1 degree out, over that distance, you don't miss it slightly, you miss it by thousands of miles. That's why I plan my week, Sunday sanity, setting direction before the week starts, so I'm not reacting to everything that gets thrown at me. Because if I don't do that, the week just happens and I end up chasing instead of leading. But the biggest takeaway this week wasn't about business. It was about recognizing that we're good at planning and measuring our businesses, but a lot of people leave their health and their life direction to chance. And that doesn't make sense, because your health is the thing that everything else sits on. Your energy, your thinking, your decision, your relationships, all of it comes from that. If I had to sum this week up in one thought, it would be this. Don't build a successful business at the expense of the life you're trying to build. Keep moving forward. Just make sure you're heading in the right direction. Thank you, Tom Dyos, Nispec First, Parts and Pickups, Gilsfield Road Garage, Property Investor. If this resonates with you, please feel free to pass it on.